Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Expert Conversations with me, Emee, here in Self Publishing Made Simple. And today we have our very special guest. She's the founder of Koala VA, and we're here to talk about how to use social media to build brand awareness. I'm sure this is something that a lot of our members are interested in. And certainly for me, I'm relatively new on social media. And believe it or not, I only had my Facebook account in 2017. So I'm fairly new to the party. So it would be wonderful to have this discussion, learn more about how we can make the most of social media to build our brand awareness. Because certainly for us as authors, as online entrepreneurs, we need to leverage the power of social media and have fun as we go along and do it. So without further ado, let's all welcome Samantha Dawkins. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. I mean, certainly this is something that so many of our members would find interesting. And I also found that I do have some members in the Get It Done Challenge or my previous students. They are absolutely amazing with writing their books. And, you know, they do well with the promos as well in terms of the launch sequence, organizing their launch team and so on. But when it comes to preparing their social media stuff, I think that's a gap that we need to improve. That's certainly something that we need to improve on. But before we get into that discussion, tell us a little bit about yourself first, Samantha. What do you do and how did you get into this thing?
Yeah, so thank you. So I own Koala VA, and specifically, I'm a social media manager that specializes in helping therapists with social media. So my job is basically to make social media simple and enjoyable for therapists who either don't know where to start with social media, or perhaps are already, quite a way into their journey of building that brand awareness and their authority online, but don't have the time or maybe the energy to sort of juggle everything as well as social media. So basically, I take that off therapists' plates so that they can do the things that they're best at. So whether that be writing their books or seeing clients and helping people.
Oh, certainly. And inside our community, we do have a lot of therapists, life coaches, and
Mhm.
certainly for me, I'm a psychologist myself. And so many of our members who have an online practice as a therapist or as a coach, they use their books to build brand awareness, to use
Mhm.
that as a resource to let people know that they exist. And that's a great way, they put their books in front of potential millions of potential readers on Amazon, but they also need to be able to promote their books on social media and to promote themselves and put themselves forward as an expert in
Yeah.
their field. So let's talk a little bit about this, Samantha. Can you walk us through the basics? It's like, why is it important to leverage social media in this day and age?
So I mean, it's so important to build that online presence, because more and more that's where people are going to find you. If they are searching for you, the more places you can show up online, obviously the more visible that you're going to be to your potential clients and obviously readers of your books as well. So yeah, the basics would absolutely be to be where your ideal clients are online. So be that on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. The basics are all about building a firm sort of foundation. So it's not spreading yourself too thin. It's not sort of getting overwhelmed by which platforms to be on. With social media, quality is always more important than quantity. So it's really sort of picking where you want to be online and doing it really well.
Yeah,
Um,
certainly. Because I think there are some coaches or therapists and even for some people in our community, they try so many different platforms and they get
mhm,
overwhelmed where they need to go. And certainly for me, I'm most active on Facebook, particularly in Facebook groups, and in this particular group that I'm hosting, I dip in LinkedIn every now and then. But Instagram I tried, but I just don't get it.
Mhm.
So, what are the most common social media platforms would you recommend, for example, for therapists or for authors who are in the self-development or in this particular kind of niche? What would be the platforms that you would recommend that we focus on, because there's so many that
Mhm.
we can choose from?
Yeah, exactly. So, first and foremost, because it is such a big platform, I would always recommend Facebook. Whether you're using that as sort of your main platform or not is obviously up to you and what you prefer and sort of where your audience are. But you can pretty much guarantee that most people have a Facebook account and they're going to expect you to be there. So, when it comes to Facebook, you just want to make sure that your profile is complete, obviously, that you're speaking to your target audience there, so that when people search for you, they can easily find you. Another one I'd really recommend is LinkedIn, actually, because LinkedIn is by far the best for search engine optimization.
Oh,
So
I didn't know
you'll
that.
notice, so you'll notice that if you Google your name, most of the time, quite high up in the listings, you're going to see a LinkedIn profile up there. So it's really, really good for that visibility online. So I definitely, again, even if it's not your main platform, I definitely recommend having a LinkedIn profile, having it all, just a normal profile. You don't need to have a company page necessarily, but just having it all filled in so that when people do search you, it's a nice complete profile that they see with lots of information, and they can find you elsewhere on the web as well. Now, when it comes to sort of which platform or platforms you use most often, it's really going to depend on a couple of things. So, really, it's going to be where your ideal clients are. So if you know that your ideal clients hang out on Instagram, then obviously you're going to want to be there because you want to be in front of them. And if you know that they're not really on Twitter, for example, then unless you love Twitter, just don't worry about it.
I've never tried Twitter, to be honest. I
Yeah.
find it really noisy and I don't know how to use it either. So, yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't really want to overwhelm myself. Now you have TikTok, you have
Mm,
Pinterest, you have all sorts of things. And certainly, some of these platforms would work well for certain groups if you know that your community are looking for inspiration through Pinterest, and maybe
yeah,
moms, for example, looking for ideas to entertain their kids with arts and crafts and stuff. So maybe Pinterest might be the way to go, or maybe
yeah,
Instagram because it's so
exactly.
visual. But yeah, certainly for me, I've identified Facebook because I don't know, for some reason I find Facebook easy to use,
Hmm.
and so many people are hanging out on Facebook, and LinkedIn because of the professional, the professionals are there, and there are so many potential leads who are hanging out there, so I'm also there. But all these other platforms, we need to really understand and pick and choose which ones would be ideal for our audience.
Yeah, exactly. So I would always say if you're not sure about social media, pick one to start off with that you really want to focus on, and just put your sort of time and effort into doing that how you want to do it, because obviously if you spread yourself too thin, then you're not going to have enough time to keep everything updated. You're not going to be posting as regularly because obviously you'll get overwhelmed and burnt out by it. So yeah, if it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it might be, pick one platform that you know your ideal clients are at, and really do that well and focus your time and energy on that, and take the time to really be social on the platform as well, because obviously that's what social media is about. Take time to engage, comment on other people's content, and really start conversations there, because ultimately that's how you will become more visible to people who follow you there.
Sure. So it's not really just about posting, it's actually engaging and interacting with people who are
Yeah.
there. And if people can find value in what you are contributing in that space, then they might check you out. And when they do, your page has to be ready, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, that's why I always say the other ones, Facebook and LinkedIn, have them set up, have a profile, spend that initial time to get everything updated, and obviously keep it up to date over time as well. You can just check back in every month or so if you want to, and then really when it comes to posting and engaging, then focus all of your your sort of energy on one or two platforms that perform best for you and that you enjoy the most as well.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
won't leave you
Having
feeling
fun
stressed.
and enjoying it is really important. I think that's why I sort of left Instagram alone because yeah, it looks fun, but I didn't find it fun.
Yeah,
I just really didn't get it. I think it's for a younger audience. It's very visual and I just struggled to create something there and I wasn't really enjoying it. So I love Facebook and especially Facebook groups. That's why I have this community because that's where I'm able to engage with my followers, that I'm able to answer their questions, support them in what they need. And I'm directing my attention to where I'm finding fun myself. So,
mhm.
it doesn't seem like hard work. It's actually quite fun. And certainly I've noticed that so many content creators, if you like, they do find it a bit of a struggle to create content. It's almost like a chore for some people. What do you have to say about that? I mean, how do you create content that that your followers will find engaging, and something that you wouldn't really consider as another thing, that another piece of work that you have to do? Is there a structure or a strategy that you can share with us to help us with content creation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of what causes the overwhelm on social media is this idea that we have to create something new every day. There has to be a new idea, that, it has to be something really thoughtful and planned out. When in reality, none of us have time to do that. So a good way to think about content creation is to, for one thing, plan things in advance so that you know exactly what's coming up in your business, exactly what holidays are coming up or events, so that you can really plan your content around that and you've got a good overview of things that you can talk about. So holidays and awareness days are a brilliant one if you're not sure what to post. It might be pancake day, or social media day is tomorrow, for example, so you might have something to contribute around those conversations. But when it comes to creating the actual content, I like to work on a sort of pillar system. So ideally, you might be creating something once a week, but it might even be something once a month. And that could be something like a blog article or a video, for example. And you take that one piece of content and you repurpose it in lots of different ways. So, for example, if you have a blog article, you might then turn that into a video or a series of short videos, which you can then share throughout the month and obviously over the months as well. Or you might take little portions, little quotes out from it and turn them into graphics using Canva. So that way you're taking one piece of content, and instead of just posting that out the once in its original form, you can break it down and pull things out of it to create more and more content. So that's what I tend to do with my own blog articles and videos. I create one video each week, which is social in 60 seconds. And that's basically where I take one social media question and I answer it in 60 seconds, so a minute or less. And then from that, I build out into a blog article, and then I take little snippets and create those into sort of short form posts. And you can then reuse that content, over months or even years on social media and different platforms as well. But that's by far the easiest way, rather than thinking you have to churn out, 2 or 3 blogs per week. You can
You
create
just
what's
have
called
that
evergreen content.
one piece of content, and you just repurpose it. But
Yeah.
certainly when you talk about repurposing, that I think also takes a bit of time,
Mhm.
because you prepare it in different formats, whether it is in video, in a quote, or whatever. What sort of formats would you consider for repurposing? You did mention that you have a blog,
Mhm.
a short video. So is that like an edited clip? What other repurposed posts can you suggest?
Yeah, so say you've got a blog article, because obviously that's one of the most popular forms of content out there. So you have one blog article, and it's a good idea to already have in mind exactly what you want to create from things, so that you're not left with this uphill battle of how can I repurpose this. So a blog article you could turn into one long video if you want to, which would be great for YouTube. So you have all of the same content, perhaps you even expand on it a little bit, but for people who prefer to get their information from videos. So obviously you can share that. You can also then break that up into separate videos. So you could do key points from your blog article, and all you'd really have to do is cut up the original video that you created into, say, three parts, and you can then post them separately. Obviously, podcasts are really popular now, so you could use the blog article as a basis for that. And when it comes to things like Instagram, for example, because it is a visual platform, something that would perform well there is either an image that's to do with the blog article that you can then link to, or alternatively taking a quote out and just turning it into a simple graphic, a sort of inspirational graphic even, that would be attractive in your Instagram feed. So there's so many different ways you can repurpose things, as well as using it for your newsletters and your mailing list as well.
Absolutely. And certainly for members in our community, Self-Publishing Made Simple, they are authors. And
Mhm.
for most of them, they already have books.
Yeah,
So in terms of producing content, they already have 6 or 7 chapters with all sort. It's for many of them, they have between 15 to 20,000 words for their short books, and some of
mhm.
my students have 60,000 words already for their books, and you can actually get excerpts from those books, turn them into quotes and talk about your book. So it's not just posting buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. You can actually talk about what's inside your book, what people are saying about your book, the impact that your book is giving to the world. So there are different ways to repurpose content, and for members in our community, since they already have a book, I think there are so many ways that you can repurpose the contents of your book. Do you have any
Absolutely.
suggestions or ideas around building awareness with your book already, as a leveraging that you already have an existing book?
Yeah, I mean, when you already have a book and you're an author, you are already so well ahead of a lot of content creators and social media users online. Something that works really well for authors is Instagram, actually, where you can pull those quotes and those excerpts out of the book. And then you can talk, use that as the image, and then in the caption you can actually talk about that section of the book. You can even talk about your process in writing it, so you can expand upon it as well and really use it as an opportunity to create a conversation around the book's topic. So that's absolutely brilliant if you can create a graphic and pull out an excerpt. But yeah, even when it comes to talking about the process of writing a book, that is a great way to advertise and build brand awareness without, as you say, actually having to say, buy my book, because obviously people don't really want to see too many sales messages
Mm.
on social media. But you can do it in such a way as people don't realize that they're really being sold to. If you can really provide that value to people, so that they're interested in what you have to say, and you can pique their interest, then they will go on and buy the book without you having to say so much.
Yeah, it's actually building that curiosity, making them
Hmm.
aware that this exists without you actually making that offer to buy your book. You're giving them a taster, and if they are interested, they know that it exists. It's there. So
Yeah.
it's one way to build awareness. And certainly for so many of my students, they would prepare their social media plan just before launch week. And I would say, if you are going to try to promote your book, don't just have a campaign that says buy my book. You have to share with them what the book is about.
Mhm.
How is the book going to serve them? Give them extracts if you like, and sometimes even reviews. What other people are saying about your book. It does work. And for so many of my students, because they are getting to number one bestseller every time they launch, they post it and everybody's like, oh my goodness, congratulations. So it
Yeah,
becomes a social thing that everyone
exactly.
is celebrating, and everyone is just so happy that you are sharing this achievement with them.
Mhm.
So actually, yeah, getting to number one bestseller is sort of, yeah, bragging. And telling people that, look, my book is at number one, without necessarily telling them buy my book. You're just really sharing the joy and
Yeah,
sharing with them that this is something that's happening. I'm so happy, I'm so excited. And if they love the look of your book and they're interested in your topic, then they might go and check it out as well.
exactly. And that's really what building a community on social media is all about, because obviously people buy from people. So if ahead of your book launch you're talking about what the book means to you, the process of writing it, who you really want to help, your sort of plans and your goals and your thoughts and your feelings around it, then people will really get an insight into who you are as a person and who you are as an author and an authority, sorry, on the topic. So then when it comes to you actually launching the book, all of these people who know and love you already are really well prepped to receive your brilliant news that it's launched, that it's reached number one, that it's a bestseller. So they'll be there ready to sort of rally around you and really boost your profile further.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
certainly.
that's a
And
brilliant point, that you really do have to get people engaged
yeah,
throughout the whole
right
process.
from the start. And certainly for my students in the Get It Done challenge, it's a 12-week program. We start building the launch team in week 6, week 7, for the launch in week 12. So
Hmm.
it's really engaging. It's really encouraging people to come with you through your journey of preparing your book, getting them involved in choosing the title, getting them
Yeah,
involved in the covers, for example. Even with that, posting that on social media, building the buzz as you prepare your books, and people getting excited that, oh, it's getting close, and they feel as if they're part of the process. They feel
that's it.
as if they are helping you out. And when you actually do publish and get to number one, they celebrate, and there's just this big buzz around it. Because you've taken your team, if you like, your social media people with you
Mhm.
for that entire journey.
Yeah, which
and
is which is absolutely fantastic,
and
and
that's
that's
the social part of social media, right?
That's it. Yes. Yeah, because you're not an island on social media, because you really rely on everyone else that's there, everyone you choose to engage with, and everyone who engages with you. So yeah, really building that community and taking people along with you on the journey, making them feel really involved, like you say, in decision making as well. One of the most popular and successful post types is one where you give your audience a choice, a decision to make, for example. So something short and sweet, like, I've got two cover ideas. Here they are. Which do you prefer, A or B? And it's nice and simple, because people don't have a huge amount of time. They want something that they can quickly engage with, and something that they feel is going to have an impact. And that's a fantastic way. So whether it be a book cover or a topic for something, or a title, really getting them involved and making them feel like they have had real input on the
Yeah,
on
that they've
the
contributed to the
final
process.
product. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, certainly, as a coach, to see my students through the process, and I can see them posting, sharing with their friends, and how their friends get excited as well. That even
Yeah.
before they launch, like, can I buy it now? Can I buy it? I was like, hang on, hang on, wait a little bit. But just building that buzz and building that awareness without necessarily being upfront and telling people buy, 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 buy. Because
Mhm.
I've seen that in some authors, that every time they post something about their books, it's just, here it is, buy now, download here.
Yeah,
It doesn't really get a lot of engagement, and people are put off by that because they didn't really come on social media to buy stuff. They
exactly.
come to social media maybe to connect, to maybe to pass time, to get a bit of entertainment and so on. They're not necessarily in a buying mode. So it's a little bit off-putting to always put buy now. But as you've said, if it is about building that awareness, building that buzz, it makes it a more engaging and a more effective post, if you like. And certainly for people in our community, a lot of therapists, a lot of therapists who use books to build their brand, or to use books as a resource for their business. It's a really great way to engage people on social media as they are preparing to launch, and when they are writing their books, and preparing to launch their books.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one important thing to remember is that although you don't want all of your posts to say, buy my book, here's the link to my book, you do always want to have a really clear call to action. So it might be, in your direct sales post where you're saying exactly what service or product you offer, you might have a link to say, go buy my book. This is what I want you to do. But the rest of the time, it might be something like, go visit this website to find out more information. It might be, send me a message. It might be, book a call with me,
Yeah.
or just drop an A or B in the comments. But having that clear call to action where someone who's reading your post knows exactly what you want them to do is so important when it comes to engagement. So you can really mix it up. It doesn't just have to be, what you really want, and that's for them to buy the book. You kind of need to take them on the journey, because obviously everyone will see things and interact with things differently. So the more channels you can give people to sort of interact and get to your website and get in contact with you and start that conversation, the better.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Samantha, for joining us today. If you
Thank
have
you.
any final message to our members who are struggling a little bit with social media, or finding it a little bit tedious to create content, or haven't really got a clue how to use social media to build their brand awareness, what do you have to say to them?
So I would say really focus on just the fundamentals and just the basics. So there's so many different options out there, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed or feel like you just don't have enough time. But I would say get the basics down. Just make sure you have a complete profile on the platform that you want to use most, and spend a lot of your time that you're actually on social media just engaging with other people, because ultimately they will help you create the visibility that you need and the brand awareness that you need. So that's the most important thing, I would say, just being social on social media, because otherwise you can create as many posts as you want, but ultimately people aren't really going to care too much if you're not sort of engaging with them and they can't see you as a real person. So always be authentic and always be sort of engaging. And beyond that, just plan a little bit in advance. Carve out an hour or two at the beginning of the month, or whenever you like, and just get a good overview of what you want to post about in the next month, so that it doesn't come as a shock, so that you don't wake up thinking, what am I going to post about today? Because you already have something in mind. And if you want to go off piste, you can, but you always have a backup then if you know the sorts of themes that you want to talk about throughout the month.
Yeah, you can
So yeah,
map it
just
out and have a strategy. There is an intention. You
exactly.
are intentional with what you're posting, and you
Hmm.
know why you are doing it, when you are doing it, and there's, that it's clear, and you need to plan ahead.
Yeah.
So, Samantha, if people would like to get in touch with you, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so I hang out on LinkedIn most of the time. So I'm there, Samantha Dawkins, or they can also find me on my website, which is koalava.com. Those are the two best places to find me. But I'm a bit of a LinkedIn addict, so I'm usually there.
Yeah, that's how we connected, didn't we? We
Yes,
connected
exactly.
on LinkedIn. I am both on LinkedIn and Facebook, but yeah, I actually
Mhm.
do love my Facebook community.
Yeah.
It's so simple, I have to say. And people are engaging. I don't really have to spend so much time worrying about content because they tell me what they want. They tell me what they need, and
Yeah.
I offer the value where it is needed. So
And
anyway,
that's what comes from spending that time in the earlier stages, really sort of building that community. You get people who just tell you exactly what they want and what they need from your group,
yeah, you
which is
don't need to
fantastic.
second guess what to post out there because yeah, they will tell you exactly what they need.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Samantha, and thanks everyone for tuning in today. I hope that you found value from our conversation today. I mean, certainly for us authors, you are good at writing your book. You've created your resource, and as Samantha have said, you are actually ahead of the game because you've got lots of content to share that you can actually repurpose and post on social media in so many different ways. But the important thing with social media is to be social, actually. So it's not just about posting, 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 but also engaging and interacting with the people on there, because yeah, that's what makes social media social. We have these connections, we are networking here, we are in this, and engagement is really important. So it's not just about posting, it's also about engaging. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and if you want to connect with Samantha, you know where to find her. So we'll catch up again next time for another expert conversations with me, Emmy, here in Self Publishing Made Simple. Until then, take care and bye for now. Bye. I cannot find the stop recording. There it is. Bye.